Start your business today. If you're an occupational therapist and you've been thinking about it, start your business today. My name is Wong. I'm an occupational therapist and certified hand therapist, and I started my business over 10 years ago, started my clinic, and then I created my program side about 5 years ago. And I'm telling you from experience, start your business today. If you don't start it, you're going to live with the regret of not having done the thing that you said you wanted to do, right? And it's business is not for everyone, but it's for some people. And if it's been on your mind, I know it's something you want and you're just scared to, do it, but scared to fail and scared to lose money because it happens in business. That's okay. Confront your fears and get started today. I started my business 10 years ago. Like I started my clinic 10 years ago, but I actually have been in business for over, more years than that. My parents had their own business, and so I've always had that kind of exposure. And I would say if you don't have that exposure, but if you have that in your mind, be exposed to other people, hang around people, watch other people, so that it can give you the insight that maybe your experience doesn't have. When I first started my business, 10 years ago, but before that, I had patients that would ask me to do therapy with them at home, right? And they wanted extra therapy. There's people out there who want extra therapy. I am currently with someone who needs, my father-in-law needs additional therapy. And I've actually tried to look for people who are willing to do, either they provide therapy in the home, they work somewhere, but are willing to do extra. It's just about putting the reps in. When you first started becoming a therapist, you had the foundational knowledge of like, oh, what is occupational therapy? Oh, how do I do an evaluation and document and all that good stuff? But for the most part, you didn't know what you're doing. And then through repetition, through practice, you got better, right? That's the same thing with business. So if someone asks you, hey, do you provide therapy? Just say yes. Say yes, set your price, and get started with that one person. You just need that one person, and then you'll get the second person and then the third person. So when my first person came to me and was like, hey, can you provide, I'm looking for extra therapy. I want therapy in my home. Can you provide it? I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I said yes. And I was like, how many times do you want it? This is when I can do it. I'll come to your home. I did the therapy. And that's kind of set me off to being like, oh yeah, maybe this business thing, I can do it. And then, life happens and I made the decision. Not to go forward with my business back then. I had 2 small kids. So if you have kids, you can totally do it. It's harder with kids, right? It's definitely harder when you have small children, but totally doable. There's tons of people who do it. You just have to manage your time. I decided at that moment in time, like my son was 1.5 years and I got pregnant with my second one. So I was like, you know what? I kind of don't want this business thing, but it kept nagging at me. And this is why I'm sharing with you, because if it's something that's in the back of your head, do it so you don't regret your life. There is nothing worse than living your life and regretting all the things that you did not do, right? At least give yourself a chance to do it. Imagine if you don't give yourself that chance and you could have had all the success. You're not giving yourself a chance. Give yourself a chance, because even if you fail, you can say, hey, I tried that thing and it wasn't for me, right? Or I tried that thing, that didn't work, I'm going to pivot, I'm going to do something else. So give yourself a chance so you don't hate your life and you don't hate your career as a therapist. And then I started off really just with one patient here and there. And then when I decided to open up my own business, I went all in. And here's how I would, suggest you do it. Don't pay attention to the little things like, oh, what's the color? What's the name? I mean, we all tend to do that, right? We all tend to think about all those little things because at the end of the day, those are a little bit easier than getting patients, getting clients, right? So switch that around and think, how am I going to get my first patient? How am I going to get those clients coming in? Who do I need to talk to? Nowadays, there's so much information in terms of how to get patients. uh, you can do social media, right? Social media is one way you share your perspective. And the thing with posting on social media is just about consistency. It's just like, can you do it every day? If you could just do one thing every single day over a period of time, you're going to build it. Businesses don't happen overnight. They really don't. And a lot of times when they do happen overnight, they're not built on really strong foundations. So don't look at those people. Look at what you're able to do. Um, I went cold turkey on mine. I just went from one thing to the next. I didn't keep that side job because it made it just wasn't for me. Like I just didn't want to be in between things. So I went cold turkey. I started my business while I was still working, doing a lot of research. But I'll tell you what, I wasted a lot of time doing the things I'm telling you not to do, thinking about my color, thinking about the title, thinking about, the shit doesn't matter. I really needed to think about how to get patients. I did think about that, but I put that on the bottom of the list instead of moving it and putting it at the top of the list. Think about your referral sources. If you're working with doctors, as a hand therapist, as a certified hand therapist, I work with a lot of surgeons. That was my number one thing I would market to them. But I didn't start creating social media content until I was a couple years into it more consistently. And I would switch it around now. I would start promoting more consistently now because you can work directly with people. When you start posting social media, when you start sharing your perspective, you get the practice while you have no one watching you. You get the practice while you have no patience. You can mess up all you want and nobody's going to say anything because nobody's watching your shit. That is the key thing, and that's what makes it so, a little bit easier. It's just you have to get over that fear, right? So instead of thinking about all your colors and stuff like that, really think about how you're going to get your patients. And then the second biggest thing is coming up with your price. And I might do that on another video, but really coming down to your price and sticking with your price, and then getting more and more people to say no to you. Because the more people who say no to you, the sooner you're going to get a yes. I think a lot of times as therapists, I think like anyone else, we get used to the fact that people come to us automatically because we've been working somewhere, right? But if you start your own business, you want to get accustomed to people saying no to you all the time, because it builds up your resilience against the no, and it allows you to keep working towards getting the yes. I worked at a hospital, and I would imagine most OTs work at hospitals or outpatient clinics or any kind of setting where you're automatically getting the patients and you're not used to getting the no's. So we have a little, like a blind spot to it. So we think everyone needs to say yes to us. But in actuality, the real world of business is a lot of people say no first, and then there's yeses. And from that yeses, you'll be like, oh, that's what that's supposed to feel like. Let me work towards that. Versus the way that we as therapists see and experience it now, where it's like we automatically get patients. So work on, thinking about getting your, where you're getting your patients and stuff like that from. Work on your prices. And then you want to put urgency to everything. Like, everything has to be done now. Everything has to be done now. Everything has to be done today, because when you're doing something you've never done before, it's really hard. And it's so easy to procrastinate, to postpone, to do other things than the key thing that you need to do. When I first started getting on social media and doing video, I would use every excuse in the world not to get on. And now people are like, oh my God, it's so easy for you. It's just not easy for me. Bitch, it was not easy for me when I started over 10 years ago. It became easier for me because I put the reps in. It's just like the therapy, right? You want results. You want your patients to get results. You want them to put the reps in. I want you to get results. You have to put the reps in. If you're not willing to put the reps in, then, you got to give up that goal of being in business. And you have to ask yourself, do you want to give that goal up? Go back to your miserable job and then ask yourself, do you want to give up that your business goals? No, you wouldn't, because you're miserable in your freaking job. You want more than what your job has to offer, right? So if you want more than what your job has to offer, you have to be willing to do the hard thing, which is to start your business and really to show up and make sure that there's urgency behind everything you're doing. There has to be urgency. If you don't have that urgency, you need to get with people who can provide that sense of urgency. You need to hang around with the right people who are going to give that sense of urgency, because it's too easy to put it off tomorrow, to put it off tomorrow, to put it off tomorrow. So I try to work with a certain amount of urgency all the time. It's never enough. It's never, not, you have to balance that a little bit. But when you're getting started, you got to pound that pavement. You have to have some urgency to it. So if you are getting started, this is for someone who's getting started, right? If you're getting started, get your patience, set your prices, and do everything with a certain sense of urgency, so you can have everything you want and not regret your life and your career. If you like more videos like this and you have questions about getting started, leave me a comment below.